Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelenskyy says US-brokered peace talks with Russia will resume Wednesday in Abu Dhabi. Russian drone attacks continue to wreak havoc on Ukraine. Authorities in central and southeastern parts say Russian strikes killed at least 17 people on the weekend. In Zaporizhzhia, a maternity hospital was the target of drones.
Nobody was killed, but authorities say several people were injured when Russian strike drones hit this maternity hospital in the city of Zaporizhzhia in southeastern Ukraine. Authorities say 2 women were undergoing medical exams when the attack happened Sunday afternoon in broad daylight. Pregnant women were quickly moved to the basement for shelter, including 31-year-old Yulia Fedorchuk, who says she saw the drone from the window of her room before it hit.
At that moment, I was lying on the bed. I heard a buzzing sound, looked out the window and saw it starting to descend directly onto the maternity ward. I shouted to the whole ward and we ran out because it was flying towards us. As soon as we reached the corridor, there was an explosion.
As well as causing injuries, the blast damaged essential medical equipment. The hospital's gynecology department bore the brunt of Sunday's strike, one of many Russian attacks across Ukraine. Svetlana Ivachenko has worked at the hospital for 25 years.
It hurts me a lot because I grew up in this institution. I gave birth to my daughter here. That's it.
In a separate attack, a Russian drone hit a bus in the Ukrainian city of Dnipro, killing 15 mine workers on board. The strikes come just days after U.S. President Trump said the Kremlin had agreed to stop bombing Ukraine because of the extreme cold.
And I personally asked President Putin not to fire into Kyiv and the various towns for a week. And he agreed to do that, and I have to tell you, it was very nice.
In interview on Czech radio, Ukraine's president says he remains open to negotiations with Russia and the United States, but Volodymyr Zelenskyy insists Europe must be present at key stages of the process.
The last mile is always very difficult, and we don't know whether we're very close to a result or not very close. It's difficult to say.
A second round of U.S.-backed trilateral peace talks aimed at ending Russia's war on Ukraine is set to start this Wednesday in Abu Dhabi.
Our correspondent Max Zander is in Kyiv. Max, are there signals the peace negotiations are in their final stages?
Good morning, Ben. At the moment, it really doesn't seem like this is the case. President Zelenskyy, in his nightly address yesterday, reiterated Ukraine's need for a quote-unquote real and dignified end of the war. And I think that speaks volumes to the Ukrainian concerns that this peace has to last and it cannot be dictated by Russia. From what we know is that new talks, after having been postponed from this past weekend, are supposed to take place in the UAE on Wednesday and Thursday. President Zelenskyy is briefing head of the Ukrainian delegation, Rustem Umerov, this morning, and they will leave tonight. Nobody is going to walk away from these talks, and everybody is going to work, or at least give the impression that they're working hard towards a lasting peace. And on a positive note, many issues have been dealt with. But some of the most important issues, namely the fate of the Zaporizhzhia nuclear power plant, for example, the largest power plant in Europe, which is in Russian-controlled territory, that fate has not been decided yet. Both sides claim this, and most importantly, the entire Donbas territory. So the regions in the east of Ukraine, which are fought over, Ukrainian regions which have been annexed by Russia and claimed entirely by Russia, but not controlled entirely by Russia. The fate of this territory is also not clear, which makes up more than 20% of the country. So very unlikely that there will be a breakthrough at these talks here in the UAE this week.
And how much longer will Ukrainians have to wait, considering a new cold snap with temperatures near minus 15 degrees Celsius, that's 5 degrees Fahrenheit, and these Russian attacks set to resume on energy infrastructure?
Right. I mean, that's seemingly part of the Russian strategy right now. It's another, as you can see, it's another extremely cold day here in the capital, Kyiv. The temperatures have dropped or are expected to be dropped to as low as minus 20 degrees this week. Russia has destroyed large parts of Ukraine's energy infrastructure. The cold is now doing the rest, and people are really suffering from the situation. People are dealing with planned and emergency power cuts. Many people don't have heating, so it's a very dire situation. Part of this idea of the Russians is to bring the Ukrainians down to their knees, to have them increase pressure on their leadership. But so far, it appears that this strategy is not really bearing fruit.
Max Zander, thank you.